welcome sight on a cold day like this, but it's enough sentimentality. Let's get on with the job. Right, Stoeger. First thing, I'm going to grab myself a spring. I think I've got one in here. Who knows? May even have a top hat as well. Let's give it a go. Please forgive the little break there, the fire was heading up towards optimum burn, so I had to throttle it back a bit. Oh, come on out, you can. Yeah. Don't forget that this bit always likes to fall straight out the stock. Right then, this gun needs some work doing to it. It had a new spring fitted to it, piston seal, etc, and it never performed, so there's something else going on. But there's a spring in there that potentially might just be what we're after. Oh, jeez. There we go. Amazing how similar it is to the Stoeger in many respects. Very, very similar. Right, got to remember now how it all comes apart. Spring, yes, of course. So a while ago I took this gun apart. Come on, there we go. Right. Remove this pin. Got to do it safely because the spring end is under quite a lot of preload. So we're going to do it in the vise. Now, copped a bit of flack for being safety first. Sorry, yeah. How do you want me to show it? Dangerous? So yeah, safety first. Right, this is my way of removing the spring on the Mk6 Meteor. You can see, got a big clamp, socket to put tension onto the spring guide. There's the pin that we need to knock out and then release it controlled fashion rather than just letting it go, because I know that this spring is under a lot of preload, so it is going to jump a fair bit. It didn't go on the floor. Time to release this spring. Joy of these clamps. I've got this release here. It does give you an element of control, but it's not going to be fun. Right, here's a spring that came out. It's got a bit of a bend in it, which is a bit disappointing. I was hoping to do this job for free, just using a spring that wasn't performing in another gun, purely through being too long as far as I can tell. Well, anyway, you can see compared to the original spring it's a fair bit longer. There's a hell of a lot more coils in it. This is 31 coils, this is 40 odd I think, if I remember correctly. What I'm going to do, get a piston, stick it in, stick that into the cylinder. Here's our guide assembly, and yeah, there's a lot of preload there. You're not really going to do that on the bench, are you? Yeah, let's face it, that's too much preload, so yeah, I'm going to cut the spring back. Right, here's a shortened spring. No, I didn't heat treat it. I'm curious to know whether you actually need to and whether you can leave it like this, because with this spring guide, like this, it's not really going to tear up, it's not contacting any plastic, so personally I think it's going to be okay. Let's do a trial fit. This is the top hat, by the way, that I salvaged out of the Meteor. Okay, so yeah, there's still a couple of inches of preload there. Well, we'll just see what happens really. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Got the piston seal there, softening in some water. New breech seal as well. While the piston seal's softening, let's change out the breech seal. Actually, we're going to have to clean up this face a bit. That's quite, yeah, that's a bit rusty. Right, let's get the breech seal out. Okay, there we go, breech seal's out. Let's clean up that face. Also, let's try and do something about the feeding of the pellets, because it really wasn't good. Right, can use this countersink. Helps if you set your drill running the right way. That should be just enough to guide the pellets in quite nicely. Really don't understand why that wasn't there from the factory, but well, we'll see. Yeah, very nice, very nice. Let's sort out some of this corrosion on this breech face. Our old friend brass brush and a bit of oil. There we go. Just an absolute tiny little spot. Oh, it's looking much better already. There's a little bit of rust on the cylinder, so while the gun's apart, it's the ideal time to get it sorted. It's there. Yeah, look at that rust coming. Don't panic at this point when the brass turns your cylinder gold. It's not permanent. That'll do. I keep saying the owner of this gun doesn't want to spend any money on it, so hence why it's getting hand-me-downs. Not exactly the, how can you put it, premium treatment, but just getting that rust off. I'll then spray the cylinder. Once the gun's back together, I'll spray it with leisure spray so it's got a nice protective coating, and we'll leave it at that. Put the new breech seal. Tempting, but no. Use this hide and copper hammer quite a bit for these sort of little jobs. Just want to just gently knock it down in. There we go. You don't want to flatten it out, just knock it so as it's level. There we go. Quite often the breech seal will even itself out during use. That looks pretty good to me. Just drying off the well and truly softened piston seal. See how easily it will go onto the piston. Got to find the damn piston first. Duh. There we go. Right then. These either go really well, at which point you start thinking, why? Or they're an absolute nightmare. I do have a couple of methods for doing it, neither of which are particularly pretty, so I do prefer to try at least and get them on using my hands. Go. It's on. Only took a minor bit of convincing. Right then, wonderful. Let's prep up the cylinder, ready for it. Right, get your cylinder. I'm going to use a 12 gauge cleaning brush. It's for the actual chambers, so it's slightly larger diameter. Has a nice soft brass end stop here, which is quite close to the end of the bristles. Ideal because rather than your normal brush, which as you can see has a long way to go and also steel through it, so if you whack the bottom of the chamber with that, that's going to cause a bit of damage. No, nice soft. Let's go. Oh, it's a good fit. I'm sure you don't want to watch me brushing away at a chamber, so I'll be back soon. Well, much better. I'm not saying you can see your face inside of there, but it's nice and clean now, no rust. Going to squirt it out with some brake cleaner. and then I'm going to put a bit of PTFE lube in there. Right, here's a PTFE lube. Give it a shake because it's like an emulsion. Nice to separate. That's enough of that. What the instructions tell you to do is to basically pour the stuff down in and just keep turning and turning. I don't actually like doing that because it just puts way too much in. What I'd far rather do is actually put it on a cloth, run that cloth down in, and then swab it out as best you can. Because then you're not putting loads and loads of the damn stuff on. There we go. You want it nice and tight in there so as it doesn't just pull straight off. Really don't need lots and lots of this. Just a smidge. Just basically wiping the surface. So as then it's just got a nice coating on there. As far as I'm concerned, that's plenty. And then I'm going to run a cloth down in there, a dry one, and wipe it out. Same again, but this time cloth's dry. Spin it round, get that oil out. Again, I'm using a brass cloth holder so that it doesn't mark. Plastic is better. Right then, time for some fun. Now, I've already checked for burrs. Pretty good actually, not bad. There's a couple of manufacturers could learn from this. So, let's get it all fitted back together. Oh, that's a better fit. There we go. Perhaps a bit stiff, but better to be stiff to start with than go floppy later on. There we go. Right then, ready for the fit up. Back to the vise. Just before we do the fit up, I said do. Now, grease. The kits, they come with this lovely grey grease. It's pretty awful. You look at the grease that manufacturers use and it's more like wheel bearing grease, and to be honest with you, it actually looks like the stuff you get with Tamiya radio control cars. Personally, I use actual car wheel bearing grease. Just do. What can I say? I don't use a huge amount of it. I just make sure the spring has got a nice coating on it. But yeah, that's what I use. You can shout at me in the comments. You can say, you don't do it like that. Well, I do. The Lightning that shot so well, wheel bearing grease. What can I say? It works. For me, anyway. Right, let's get this reassembled. I'm just going to put the vise clamp straight onto this plastic piece at the end. Remember to put your trigger back in before you assemble it all together, because otherwise you're going to have to take it all apart again. Line up the hole. Looks good to me. There we go. Just need a little tap, that last little bit. Perfect.
guys. Put the gun back together. Barrel. Okay. Where did my screwdriver go? Quite an interesting design, this. Line it up. Get in there. I'm going to do that up quite tight because I don't want it to come loose. Perfect. Very nice. The new breech seal is obviously not too thick, not too thin. Very good. I'll put a little dollop of grease on the cocking arm. Locate it. Snap it all together. There we go. Wonderful. So, reassemble the trigger. The anti-bear trap here. Okay. Yeah. And the spring is a fiddle. There we go. We're on. Put the E-clip on. Okay. Okay. Safety catch. Okay. Okay, wonderful. Okay, lined up. Should be good to go back in the stock. Oh, just spotted. Oh, it doesn't actually come off. There we go. There you go. BSA, everybody else, you could learn a lesson from that. That one's actually held on there. Doesn't fall off and get lost. Amazing. Nearly forgot. That could have been fun if I'd forgotten that. Right, so, action, stock, reacquainted. Don't want to do that up fully just yet. I like to do them up evenly, so do the back one up just to hold it in place, then make a start. On the other screws. Now we can start tightening up. Okay then, will she cop? Yes. See how that chamfer goes for putting the pellet in. Oh yeah. Oh, that's much better. Look at that. Sealed down in there nicely. Okay. One thing left to do. Fire it off. Well, shoots. So, let's find out if it scores. Right, after putting a load of shots through this gun to bed it in, let's see what she'll average out at over the chrony. Make sure you wear eye protection when you're doing this, because I just had a pellet come back and hit me in the arm and it's actually quite painful. Hate to have had that in my eye. Quite like my eyes. I've got two of them, but you know, neither of them are spare. What we're looking at is for it to be below 790 for it to be UK legal. These pellets are H&N Field Target Trophy 177, 8.64 grain. Oh, dang it. Blimey, it's right on there, isn't it? And then you got a low one. Weird. Here we go. Right, let's take that previous 10 with those high ones as a bit of foreplay and let's have another go. Damn it. Yep. I thought that one was a bit fruity when it came back at me. Okay, I'm going to take another coil off. I'm sure that you don't want to watch me take another coil off the springs, so you'll join me when it's all done. Right, for anybody playing along at home, the spring is now 31 coils long, which is the same as the original one. So let's see what happens. I'm probably going to cop some flack for calling it, but you could see the power was starting to creep back up there. Went down, then it came back up, so to me it bedded in, and that's the power it was going to produce. Plus, this gun's going to be used in a back garden with other houses all around, so yeah, it doesn't need to be absolutely on the button full whack. About 10.5 to 11 would do it. Okay, well that was a bit erratic. Let's give it another 10 and see if it settles down. Funny how it always falls down on the 10th shot. Well, I'll average that out and we'll have a look, but that was quite nice and consistent really. Well, let's get the optic back on the Stoeger. If you remember, the stud hadn't been wound down on this, so there was nothing to actually stop it from moving about under recoil, which is very annoying. I'll never understand why people don't use them. What the? Oh jeez. Sticky pads of doom. Oh, I hate these things. Same at the back. Oh jeez. Oh, that's ridiculous. Oh, that'll be why they never bothered with the actual stud. Look at that. Can't get at it. It's been taped over. Ridiculous. Originally I thought this was a hawk mount, but I'm not so sure now. Right, there we go, we're in. What I am going to do is I'm actually going to file the point off of that stud, so I'm going to wind it all the way out. If it'll come. I'm Assuming of course that was the right size of hex key. Here we go. See, the point on there, and then you've got a slot cut into the top of the receiver for it to go into, so the point isn't really going to cut it, as it were. It'd be much better if it was flat, so let's make it flat. Back to the bench grinder. That's better. Flat surface now. Do you want to look at where that slot is versus your peg, line it up, something like that. Just look to make sure it's not jacking it up or anything like that. There you go, it's pretty good. With these mounts being aluminium, if one feels a bit stiff and doesn't really want to go in, it's always worth slackening off the others just in case. Just a smidge is enough. Last thing you want to do is go forcing the bolt through, stripping the threads. Okay, happy with that? Yep. Looks good. There we go. Right, I'll just wind that stud down. Okay, it's all the way down. Right, I'll try the optic where it was before. Don't have a huge amount of adjustment on this optic sight mount combo here. Bit of a pain. Just put bolts in this rear mount, and then I'll use that to just get the final alignment, eye relief, etc. Eye relief's good. Yeah, alignment's good. Okay. Finish putting the bolts in, and we'll go to the range. It was commented upon just how close the scope was to the cylinder, but there is, if I can put something white behind, there is actually a gap, believe it or not. it is there, see? So yeah, it's not touching. I mean, I don't know whether that was good planning or what by whoever put this scope on there. I'll change the mount, should that be, but yeah, it's close, but it's not touching. You can see it turns freely. So yeah, very, very close, but not touching. Right, well, next time you see this gun, it will be on the range. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, if it was helpful, if you could like, share, comment, subscribe, that would be fantastic. If you didn't like the video, pop a little comment to say why. I'll endeavour to improve for next time.